which is $60,000 for a 3-year contract, that's $20,000 a year.
Right.
For True Green Chemlon, who was our vendor for the last couple of years using synthetic fertilizers and synthetic weed controls, we were paying around $6,000.
Per year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're talking considerable cost. But again, it's a grand total of $20,000. It's not hundreds of thousands of dollars. So for a premium of roughly $12,000-$14,000, are you willing to do the naturalized approach, or are you want to take the naturalized approach, or do you stay with the synthetic chemical approach? So staff's recommendation was to release the low bidder, and then staff's recommendation was to go with a naturalized program for that $60,900 for a 3-year program.
And I realized that we might have missed the pre-emergent this first summer, and then we would work probably with the cost with True Green, and then we would have pre-emergent the next year, the next 2 years. And once we kick in with the pre-emergent, are we going to see better results, it sounds like, with this naturalized approach on how we have the scope with True Green for this future contract? Are we going to see better results than we've seen doing it the chemical old way?
That's a hard question to answer, and because you can answer it in 2 ways. First of all, with respect to the pre-emergent, we are too late for this year, and then we bid it out such that everything was broken down line by line. So we'll simply not pay that line item, and then we'll not have to pay for that. Will a naturalized program have more weeds over the course of time in an area like City Hall, where you have very finely groomed grass? Probably you're going to see slightly more weeds because we're not out there with chemicals killing them off. Even with a full chemical program, a weed is still going to sprout, but then 2 weeks later they're going to come in with the chemicals and kill it off. So you're going to have to accept some weeds in your grass. So from a performance standpoint, you might argue that naturalized will be worse, but then from an environmental standpoint, you can argue that there's no comparison, that naturalized will be beneficial to the environment, whereas fertilizers and chemicals are detrimental to the environment. So it all depends on how you approach it.
What about in a parkway area where we see a lot of weeds usually?
And
will that improve because it's not well groomed? Like, will we see actually an improvement in those areas? I don't know.
And I should say that as part of even this naturalized program, we may still want to do isolated spot areas. Like there's a small parkway, probably no more than 10 by 10 up by the clock garden, that we just actually put down a chemical, off-the-shelf chemical weed control on it because it was nothing but weeds. Mm-hmm. So I think the spirit is that we're going to try a naturalized approach and be good for the environment. But in reality, are we going to have a spot here, a spot there, a small area here, a small area there that we may have to do chemical control of? You may.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to call on Alderman Cadella, then Alderman Shockey. Alderman Cadella.
A couple of questions for you, Gary. Something on my mind, is there a offensive odor attached to this natural fertilizer that we should know of ahead of time before people start calling in and asking, why does Wooddale smell bad?
And it's a logical question. I use it on my own lawn, actually. I use that product, the one that I spoke of. But again, there's many different products, and I think that as they spec a product, and the contractor will have to get approval, essentially a shop drawing or a spec approval from us, that we're going to have to make sure that there are no adverse things such as odor from that product. Again, I know I use a natural product, and there's no odor associated with whatsoever. Does another product have odor? Possibly, but we're going to want to know that ahead of time.
Okay, thank you. And the last thing, I know every little bit that we can do to help and maintain the environment is good, and we should strongly consider it. But realistically and logistically, we're talking about 14 and a half acres out of 6 or more square miles of Wooddale property. How much of an impact is this additional money really going to make on assisting the health of the environment and the waterway?
Is it more symbolic at this point in time?
I think that's where I'm going with this. I think I need to make sure that everybody up here understands that, as I believe I understand, that this is probably symbolic and it's not really and that we're literally saving the environment.
No, I think I would agree with you. Is it the city setting the example, hopefully, for our residents to follow? And if, 13,000 people start doing naturalized, then we all probably could have an impact.
Thank you.
Alderman Shockey.
I have three quick ones. The Stormwater Committee had recommended, was it last year or the year before, that we not fertilize 2 basins, 2 detention areas? Am I correct in that?
See, and that's where I was on Stormwater Commission, or active, involved in Stormwater Commission back in '06. And we started the pilot program only in the basin north of Gilbert on the west side of Addison Road. We wouldn't have started a pilot program completely adverse to what Stormwater Commission said, because I went straight from Stormwater Commission to the March 9th Public Works Committee meeting. We actually took it to the Public Works, the Stormwater Commission's recommendations to the Public Works Committee, where it was discussed, and then we got approval to go ahead with the one off of Addison Road.
So it was just one.
The one off of Addison Road north of Gilbert. And that's the only one that we did the pilot program in for the last 2 seasons.
And what did we do with that pilot program?
All it was naturalized fertilizer,
We did
No
put
weed
naturalized fertilizer in there.
no weed control.
And can we use any of our own treatment waste?
No, our waste isn't rated for that. Actually, our waste goes and is land applied on farms. So it's actually used in the agricultural industry, but it's not processed and made for applying on lawn.
Because it really, when I walked by there, it wasn't really that smelly, the sludge that was left there, the dried sludge. And I would like to make a motion on that first part of it, that we recommend that the low bid be released.
Second. On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I'll abstain.
1 opposed, 1 abstain, so that still makes the motion carry. Alderman Coles?
True Green does the lawn next door to me, and that, for 2 days, it smells. So I'm just letting everybody know that smells. And also, you have to keep your pets, any kind of pet, off the grass, because they
Now,
tell you that.
do they
right
use a
off the bat.
chemical or do they use a natural?
They use a chemical.
Okay.
So I'm just letting you know. Even when he uses a chemical, and then sometimes he uses a seed, a granulate, and no matter what he uses, it still stinks. I'm just letting you know. So I don't like any of them chemical outfits. I'm sorry. Other than lawn outfits.
Anything else on the question? Alderman Shockey?
Yeah, with this Morgulite, or whatever you call it, is there restrictions to it? Do we have to post signs that say keep animals off, or don't walk on it, or anything for length of time? That is, it's done with the synthetics, I know, so.
Given the number of naturalized products that are really available on the market, we didn't specify you must use this one specific product. So we actually, as I indicated, we actually left it open, though the contractor has to seek approval from us and get approval for us for whatever. He may or may not use Milorganite, he might use another naturalized product. So what we will do is we will follow whatever that product is that he is using. Yeah.
Okay, I know there's a cost increase here, but I still tend to go with the natural solution. I'm not, extremely passionate about it, but I just think that anything that's in the public areas and there's kids, there's animals that might use this, I always say just go the natural route. So, and then maybe eventually we can work on, a better process, or I'm not sure eventually if we could use summer interns to spray this down or whatnot. What do you think about that, Mr. Holm, like in the future, or what do you think?
The state of Illinois, through the EPA, you have to have you know, like applicator's license for certain products, and no one on our staff has those licenses.
Okay.
It's just one thing that's best left to the professionals.
Gotcha. Okay, then I'm gonna make a motion to recommend that a 3-year contract be awarded to True Green Camelon for the amount of $60,900 minus the cost of the first year of pre-emergent. Is there a second? Right, on the question, Alderman Shockey.
I thought the way he explained it was that there was no pre-emergence. It was the work of the natural fertilizer that thickened the grass to crowd out the weeds. Is there a synthetic used for the weeds
Mr.
also,
Hum?
or?
No, the pre-emergent that will be used, and again, it has to be used very early in the season, so we're too late for it this year.
Right.
But the pre-emergent that will be used will be that corn gluten that I talked about. It's a natural byproduct of corn, so.
Okay, thank you. Okay, there's a motion, a second, all in favor? Aye. Okay,
Opposed.
okay, two
Opposed.
yeas opposed, I have four opposed, so motion fails. And then I ask, is there another, suggestion or motion to direct staff to look at at a contract to do the fertilization? Because right now it looks like we have nothing. What? Wait, 1, 2, 3, 6. No, I thought it was 4-2 because Alderman Wesley left. It was 4-2. Then just to be clear, Ms. Schultz, will you call the names? And Alderman Wesley recused himself. Yes.
Okay, Alderman Police,
No.
Alderman Lewiton,
No.
Alderman Shockey,
Yes.
Alderman Cadella,
No.
Alderman Winger,
Yes.
Alderman Coles,
No,
Motion fails. Alderman Shockey.
Can I make a suggestion then that we send it back to Stormwater and let them know that we turned down this natural fertilizer and ask them what they would recommend now?
But my concern is that we would lose time. That one of the complaints of people in Wooddale is that they want a neat appearance, and we're gonna get, like, I'm already getting weeds in my yard. Like, weeds are gonna start coming, and we're gonna need something quickly. And it looks like we've spent time on this already. Maybe I'll ask for advice from Mr. Holm.
The other option is simply go back to the traditional approach that we've been using. Staff can seek bids for that. Presumably, the cost will be in the neighborhood that they were before, which would be less than $10,000. We'll be able to secure 3 bids and just award a contract and go forward without having to come back through the council process. So if you give staff direction to go back to the approach that we've been using, the process will just go forward.
So then, I don't know, does that help Alderman Shockey, or would you like to see maybe us do a 1 year with the current, with the previous approach, and then
Perhaps,
give-
yeah,
because then it would give Stormwater time to talk through it, and
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 still
then-
continue the test on the, on at least the one basin and perhaps another basin if we can, and then approach it again next year, depending on what happens.
Mr. Holm, are we gonna pay a lot extra cost by just doing a 1 year with True Green?
Oh,
It's not gonna be,
sorry.
okay,
I answered a different question than I thought you were. No, we won't, there's not going to be a significant premium for just going with 1 year.
okay.
To address Alderman Shockey's, and I'll just make sure I get official direction from council, I would assume we'll want to still continue with the pilot program in the Addison Road Basin, as we have been doing, and then maybe expand that pilot program into the Travel Air Basin there off of Oak Meadows Drive. If that's the direction, that's what direction we'll go in.
And would you like the 1 year expenditure to be like not to exceed $11,000? And do you want that approval tonight, or did you want to come back with the contract?
I'm only going to assume, based on the last couple of years of cost, that we aren't going to be even approaching the $10,000 mark. So
Okay,
we
good.
should be fine to just get our 3 quotes and then go forward at the staff level.
Oh, I see, because you're underneath the 10,000.
We're underneath 10,000, so
Okay.
we'll be able to go forward at the staff level. If it comes in more than 10,000, then we'll bring it back to the council.
Okay, so we made the motion to turn this down. Do you need a motion to continue the pilot program? I don't think so,
No, I
but
think just
yeah.
direction
Okay.
and we're
Okay,
fine.
good. Okay, then I think that we're through with this topic unless there's any other comments. Next item, item number 8 is 2007 Sidewalk Program Change Order number 1. And Mr. Holm, you've narrated several items that cause us to change the scope and cost, and I can understand that. One question I do have, when will this be complete? I know we have the Edison Road sidewalk yet to be done, and so when will the 2-7 sidewalk program be complete?
The Addison Road, we were notified by the contractor just today that he is starting tomorrow on that project excavation. I can't imagine that taking him only but a couple of weeks' time, and we'll have punch lists. So I would say sometime within the next 4 weeks or so, we'll probably have the complete program wrapped up, just to finish the punch list and everything.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a motion, look for a second, and then I'll call the question unless, Mr. Holm, do you want to add anything before I do that?
No, I don't need it anymore.
Okay, you're okay? Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and make the motion and then I'll take the questions. I make a motion
this.
that change order number 1 be approved in the amount of $22,132. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion is second on the question. Alderman Coles.
Is this on the pay program, or is this on the sidewalk program?
Item number 8, yep, right there. This
Number
one.
8.
Yep.
All right, is this gonna take care of Elmwood, out between Windsor and Potter, where you're going to put the sidewalk in?
Elmwood between Windsor and Potter is actually going to be lumped into the 2008 roadway project, so it could be done, economically as part of a large project.
Oh, okay, that's all I wanted to know. Okay, fine.
Mr. Mayor?
Does the county have any responsibility, and did they cost share in this at all?
I understand, and Dave Graff, our city engineer, indicated that the county may refund a portion of the costs associated with this, and we will pursue that. So there is a program out there for such, yes.
Anything else on the question? Alderman Wesley?
I have a problem of giving a reduction on this project because he did do the street on Cedar, and I believe this is the reduction he's asking for. Oh, I'm sorry, maybe I got confused here. Is this the one, Gary, for Cedar?
Item number 8 is, on the upper right-hand corner, we're on item number 8.
Yeah, well, it's a Cedar. 2000 program considered new sidewalks on Cedar Avenue. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Number 9 is the reduction.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll wait. Number 9, the reduction.
Okay,
That's the
great.
one I want.
Okay. Okay, anything else on the question? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is item number 9, the request for payment number 2, and this is a partial. So I make a motion that payment be made to A&R Cement Incorporated in the amount of $46,507.21, which includes payment of invoice number 2 and reduction of the retainage to 5%, leaving the current retainage at $8,545.06. Is there a second? And then I'll call the question. I have a motion, a second. Alderman Wesley.
I do not recommend a reduction on this project due to the fact I do have some problems with the sidewalks on Cedar. I do have a drain pipe that they busted, or someone busted, sewer connection from a sump pump to the street that they busted, and it still has not been fixed. And the last rainfall, he flooded out his front yard, and it was 9 inches deep in the basement. So my question is, when is that going to be replaced? Okay, and that's why, and there's several sidewalks cracked on this project.
And Mr. Holm, I'll ask that you answer that. However, is it okay if we do not reduce the retainage to 5%, but we do make the payment? Is that acceptable if we decide to go that route?
Certainly, that's the city's prerogative to reduce or not reduce the retainage.
Okay.
The contract, by contract, it can be 10%, and then by our prerogative, we can lower it below 10% if we choose to. So if you elect to not lower the retainage, but still make payment, then you would simply make payment, and let me find his number here.
Oh, is it the 42 maybe?
Yeah, I believe that would be then the 42,180.17.
Okay, then, given what Alderman Wesley brought to light, that would be my motion to only pay the 42,180.17, and then resolve those issues offline before we go further. Before we go into too much conversation on your questions, I mean, is that acceptable, Alderman Wesley? And then you can work through the actual issues with Mr. Holm? Or did you want input on it?
No,
now?
I still say we shouldn't pay any retainer back to them until that's correct. I have a conversation with them, and I have not heard back when they would be out to replace it. You know what? I don't like doing the reduction on stuff lately because we don't know when they're going to get back. I mean, it could be the end of the year. I mean, sod is in already, you know, now you're going to dig up the guy's front yard, replace this.
Okay, but we still have to pay them for work that they performed well, like
Need
work
to-
performed. And maybe we look at the line items and we determine what they performed, and it worked out okay, and the ones that you're concerned about. But just to withhold the whole payment, you know, I don't really think that's a great way of doing it. But we can look at each line item here.
The whole problem is with the whole payment, okay? They have not gave us, first of all, we have not seen the punch list on what still needs to be done. You know, I don't agree on just giving back money until the project is almost 100%, or they send us a letter when they're going to correct the problems. I mean, it's ridiculous.
But Alderman Wesley, their bill is for the retainage, like the giving back of money, and for their work performed.
Do what you want then.
Alderman Police?
Gary, what, the 42,000, is that money that we still owe them, or is that reduced to retainage?
No, the 42,000 is for work performed.
And what's the amount for reducing the retainage?
That would be the difference then between the 46.5 and the 42.
Oh, it's 4,000.
Right.
My question is, and you know, I'm a stickler for this, the punch list, or whatever this punch list may be, I know we had one when we did the road project in my ward. Same thing here. I don't like reducing anything until those punch lists are pretty much done.
Well, that's why staff has said that if you want to just go forward with the payment and not reduce the retainage, that's fine. But generally, we don't even punch list a project until the project is done. And in this case, the project isn't even completed yet. So, and as I stated when we first started this, I'm anticipating that completion will occur within the next couple of weeks and punch list within a couple of weeks thereafter. And the contractor doesn't want to keep this project open all summer long because he's not going to get his money. He's going to want to close it out and move on to the next job.
Basically, we're talking the 42,000 is the money.
He's already earned through his work.
Well, what else has he got? If there's only 8,000, well, let's say 12,000 left for retainage.
Well, he's only, amount of work completed to date
Right.
is approximately 170,000. He's got another 25,000 or $27,000 of sidewalk to construct over on Edison Road.
Of actual work to perform.
actual work to perform.
Excluding the retainage.
Right,
Retainage is a separate bucket, if I understand correctly, right?
correct. The total contract cost is gonna be, we just had that in the last.
Like
one. Total contract,
197.
197. He's only completed $170,000 worth of work, so he's still got almost $30,000 worth of work still to do.
Yeah, but in that 30,000 is the retainage, correct?
For all work that he does, there's retainage associated with it, correct. There's 10% retainage.
Right, because I'm looking at the bill here. Total amount completed to date, 170,000. Then he's got the 5% retention subtotal.
You double that back to 10 again, you'll be at 17,000,
Oh, it's on the other.
Right.
okay? So
Well,
as he
that's-
completes more, the retainage value is gonna go up.
It's on the other one.
Less previous pay estimates, we have already paid him 115,000.
Correct.
So now he wants another 42, brings him up to 157.
He's right, correct?
So then, whatever he has to finish, which is approximately what, $40,000, another $45,000.
No, he's only has to finish approximately $30,000 more, and the difference there is that retainage. Because we're already holding we're gonna be holding 17,000 of his money that he's already earned.
Because if he doesn't do the punch list, in
Then
theory,
you can
we
go-
keep it and we fix it, right?
Exactly.
So that's our leverage for the issues that,
I can assure you
Using
there's
the-
not $17,000 worth of issues on the project right now.
so my recommendation is we're not reducing retainage, but we pay for what they performed. And Mr. Holm, can you take a look at that list of 8 items here? And is there anything glaring that's, you'd want to remove? I mean, I don't think so, like sidewalk removal, driveway payment,
Yeah,
removal. I mean, everything looks okay to me,
Right.
right?
Obviously, there's punch list issues.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I, one more?
Yes, Alderman, please.
This punch list, how much time do they have to do it? I mean, if they want to take 3 months to do it, they can take 3 months, correct?
I don't know, and I didn't draft this contract, so I don't know the number of working days that were set up in the contract, and I can get that for you. Typically, the punch list is driven by the number of working days in your contract, because if you exceed the working days, then you start incurring liquidated damages. So I don't know how many working days they have left, to answer your question.
But if we slow the payment down, the punch list will get done faster.
And I'm not gonna play legal, but we can ask our attorney. I don't believe that you can do that. I believe you have to pay them for work performed.
This will go to council next week before the final payout is done anyways, right?
Correct.
So we'll have legal counsel then?
Correct.
Good.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to only pay out the work performed. So I make a motion to pay A&R Cement $42,180.17. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Oh, wait, I apologize. I did have a motion and a second already, so I'd like to change that. Does the seconder agree? Ms. Schultz, who? Okay.
Yes.
You agree with the
agree,
second? Okay, and with the change, okay, then all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
One opposition, motion carries. Next item is item number 10, chemical testing of potable water system. And I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to Mr. Holm for an overview of the research performed. And then I'll take the floor back, and then I'll open up to any comments, if there are any at that point. Mr. Holm?
Thank you. Staff has received various questions from council, and basically, the purpose of this memo is to seek direction from council as to whether or not you would like us to perform additional tests for contaminants over and above what is already required by our regulatory agency, that being the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency.
Okay. And we've done appropriate research that we always believed that we complied with the IEPA, and we do. The paperwork is provided to us, and we're within our limits for contaminants tested. Are there any comments before I call this for information only? Alderman Lewitton?
Okay, in difference to Gary Holm, he has stated that there are many potential contaminants that could be tested for. So the question he's also raising is really twofold. Is one, should staff be given direction to test for contaminants? And who determines what contaminants should be tested for if that is the case? Looking up on the internet, the other contaminants that are contaminable to water supplies, there is a 15-page report listing, I didn't count them, but, that's probably 150, 10 to a page. We would not want to go and test everything just because it's somewhere in the world. But what we would want to test, because we are responsible for the health, welfare, and livelihood of the people from a medical point of view of the city of Wooddale, we would want to test for any contaminant that a prudent person would have reason to suspect may have a positive flow in our water system, regardless of where it came from. I would say that we should test once for it and only test again if we find that there is in existence the contaminant. Who would be a prudent person? Well, I think that's, by definition, we, the council, are the prudent people to make that decision. And that decision would be made by evidence brought before us by a competent person who is either a medical person or a person who has knowledge of water flow or infrastructure that could bring information before us that would be persuasive to a prudent person. And this came up last time because the representative of Camaris used a reference to transite, which could produce, and the emphasis on could, not would, because it's not proven that it can be there because of transite alone. But it would be prudent to test. Now, Gary came up, and among our packet, we have evidence that there was a test by the IEPA done in 2002. That test, though, was not for the contaminant. That test was a test of the water's acidity to determine possibility of it interacting with other elements to create the problem or to create the contaminant. At that time, it was found that the pH level in the water was at a safety level that would not interact, and therefore no further testing was done. I emphasize that there was no testing done for the contaminant, but only for the prerequisite that the water contained compounds that would cause a reaction with the transite that could conceivably create a problem in the future. I think that this is an example of a prudent committee making a prudent decision to find a baseline test to find out if it is even present in the water at all. I make reference to what doctors do, and when they develop what they call a velocity. For example, the human prostate in a typical man produces a PSA content. This chemical is present in very small, minute parts on younger people, but will expand around 55, 60, 65, and depending on the genetic structure of the human. And the PSA will expand naturally because men are subject to a condition, it's not a disease, it's a condition called BPH. And as it expands, there'll be more of the PSA in the system. However, an increased expanse of PSA is a sure sign of cancer. Now, the way that they test this is by getting blood samples from you in your 50s before you are subject to this happening. And then they watch the baseline in the years ahead. If they see the velocity growing at a faster rate than would be normal for just BPH, then they send you for a cancer test, a screening. in this manner that I say that we would test for chemicals in the water if there is an indication it could be created or carried, and find out what a baseline is. The baseline may be so low as to present absolutely no concern. And it's better to know that it has no concern than to have suspicion on people's minds. Therefore, I make a motion that we direct staff to make tests for whatever biological, chemical, or other element in the water we feel is prudent to test for. Do I have a second?
Second.
And the question? All in favor? And-
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
Eileen, can you please restate the motion?
To direct staff to make tests for whatever biological, chemical, or other element is in the water that we feel is prudent to test for.
Okay, so first I'm going to call any opposed, because I think there was confusion, probably on my part, because I did it vice versa. All in favor? Aye. I did it again, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm opposed, so all in favor, and those that are in favor of that motion, okay, I'm sorry, on the question.
Just a clarification, there was no cost associated with that. Shouldn't staff be directed if, and I think I understand the intent of where you're going, but shouldn't staff be directed to come back with a proposal as to what this test would cost and what they would test for? What the parameters of it are? Or is this an unlimited direction to spend unlimited amounts of money to test for?
It's a